the opportunity to give you a brief update on the new Office of Broadband Development. Dana really wanted to be here today, but the one thing that could keep her away did, and it's not the weather. It was the opportunity to continue working with the legislature to try to get a broadband infrastructure fund passed this session. And probably no one more than those of you in this room are hopeful that she's very successful at that. As many of you know, the office was officially up and running with the hiring of the executive director, Diane in January of this year, just as the Broadband Task Force report was being issued. That report contained much of the same type of information that we've been seeing over the last several years about broadband access and adoption rates across the state. Most notably, while we are making incremental progress, Minnesota has still not achieved its statutory goals of border-to-border, high-quality broadband access that the legislature and the governor set to achieve by 2015. And we can assume at this point that we won't be hitting that target date. Despite measured progress, we still have a ways to go. Minnesota ranked 19th in the country for average connectivity speeds, and that's based on Actini's third quarter 2013 rankings. And 25% of our households do not have access at state speed goals. I thought I touched something up here, sorry. I would note that Connect Minnesota just submitted last Friday the new data as of December 31st, 2013, and so we should be getting updates on the figures in a few weeks. And they do that twice annually, and they will do that this year. So while progress has been made, there is still much work to do, especially in our rural areas, and the last few months have been spent setting up the office and putting in place the tools to meet those challenges. An initial focus has been on establishing the office as a resource center for legislators, other policymakers, providers, communities, and individuals who are working on broadband-related issues across the state. We have met with multiple provider groups from the small co-ops serving large parts of rural Minnesota to CenturyLink and Comcast to hear about their concerns and issues. We have talked with and visited local initiatives throughout the state, and we've begun dialogue with other state agencies that have a role to play, including the Departments of Commerce, Transportation, Public Safety, Education, Minute Services, and internal divisions at DEED that touch on broadband-related issues such as workforce and community development. The first opportunities to serve in this resource capacity have come fast and furious as legislators have picked up a number of the recommendations from the Broadband Task Force report and are busy trying to move bills forward. DEED has been meeting with legislators almost daily, providing information and tracking broadband legislation, including proposals for the establishment of an infrastructure incentive fund, the continuation of a mapping and data analysis program, establishing local bonding authority for broadband infrastructure, changes to laws easing restrictions on municipal broadband projects, funding for a study to look at the long-term need and mechanisms for providing infrastructure support for the areas where traditional models have not met that need, and reinstating the sales tax exemption for telecom equipment, and that bill was passed and has been signed into law. The area of our work has been pretty all-consuming since the start of session, and we expect that to continue for the next few weeks. Another early focus of the office is to catalog federal opportunities to broadband resources that may help Minnesota communities and institutions achieve the state's broadband goals. The program that is most active right now is the FCC Rural Broadband Experiments Initiative. Minnesota had a phenomenal 66 letters of interest submitted to the FCC, and Connected Nation went through and tracked the letters by state, and Minnesota had the most. That's good news, but it's also bad news because it does show the need that we have here. I personally went through all of the expressions of interest, and for this five-county region, I found six in Aiken County, 4 in Carleton County, 3 in Pine, 2 in Mille Lacs, and 2 covering portions of Kanabec County. And the expressions of interest ranged from community groups trying to find ways to serve their areas, Mark talked about the KDI initiative earlier, all the way to provider-led, fully engineered projects that are shovel-ready except for the financial assistance needed to cover the gap to get the project built. Our office offered to assist with many of these letters by providing data and county-level maps of eligible census tracts, which we had requested from Connect Minnesota for this purpose. We will continue to work with interested groups as the FCC program develops and applications applications are submitted later this year. We are tracking other federal opportunities as well that are coming out of places like the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Rural Development Office, the Rural Utility Service, FirstNet, E-Rate, and the President's Connect Ed initiative. And as we learn more, we are reaching out to groups that we know are working on similar issues in this state to provide awareness, information, and offer assistance where appropriate. We now have over 60 groups and initiatives throughout the state that we are tracking and working with to provide assistance on broadband issues. Another goal set by our legislators is that Minnesota become a leader in broadband adoption and digital literacy rates. While we fare better nationally on this ranking, we're in overall 8th place. With 76% of our households using broadband at home, this still doesn't meet the state's goal of being in the top 5 states. Toward this end, the office is developing strategies to best target the state level involvement on this issue. We're putting together an advisory team from various groups working on this issue to help guide policy and program development to achieve maximum impact. We've reached out to groups like the Technology Literacy Collaborative, that's very active in the Twin Cities, the Landon Foundation, and the City of Minneapolis, and others who we think have some of the ground level experience to shape public policy on this issue. And so if there's good representatives working on that adoption issue here in this area, please let us know. The benefits of achieving this broadband adoption goal, along with our statewide access goals, are numerous and wide-ranging. The end game is that we will have established a platform that allows for transformational change in how we solve healthcare and education delivery challenges throughout the state. This platform provides equity for next-generation economic development opportunities for businesses and communities throughout the state. Universal access and the skills to use it will provide the tools we need to redefine and streamline government service delivery. Once we achieve these goals, we can all leverage the status to our advantage when we are out recruiting businesses, families, and workforce talent to our areas. We will use the investments Minnesota makes in these issues as a show of commitment, leadership, and a willingness to partner on big IT initiatives such as Google Fiber and other Gig City initiatives. So in short, our 6-month first-order priorities are standing up the office, building the necessary relationships, working through the legislative process, getting our arms around the federal opportunities and making sure we are accessing them to the fullest, responding to the governor's and legislative priorities once they are set, and just to point out 2 of the bills to watch are House File 2016, which has been rolled for the second time into another bill, so they're hard to track, but it's rolled into House File 2976, which is the funding bill. And on the Senate side, Senate File 2056, and those are the bills containing the Broadband Infrastructure Fund. Other items that are on our plate are analysis and execution of broadband, dig once, and right-of-way management legislative charges, identifying the state's role in pursuing more gig cities and other advanced applications, and surveying and assessing the state's role in consumer and business-level cybersecurity issues. The bottom line is one that everyone in this room already knows. The time and energy spent on making Minnesota a leader in these areas is a wise investment that will reap benefits for everyone in the state. The office looks forward to working with you all in the coming months to help continue our progress towards achieving these important goals. And I do have a one-pager on the second table that outlines what the office is working on and some business cards for both myself and Diane. And so if you are interested in more information, or if you have ideas or suggestions, please contact us, and we'd love to continue the dialogue.